What's up, what's up, what's up, your boy Domuto. We are back with another video. Today, we are watching Carthu Dojo. What we got here? The many forms of Dragon Ball. So I guess you're going to go through form after form and explain them. And that's what I'm seeing right here. So we might get into it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let go.
Dragon Ball is known for having a lot of transformations, so I wanted to make a video concisely explaining every single transformation in the main Dragon Ball manga and various anime series. No Dragon Ball Z movies or heroes for my own sanity. And why not keep account of them all while we're at it? Starting with Earthling transformation. The first is the Wolfman transformation, which is a reverse werewolf, so during the day, the Earthling who's afflicted by it transforms into a Wolfman, while the full moon allows them to be human again. Unlike a Saiyan transformation I'll discuss later in this video, this form can be undone with hypnosis, meaning it has nothing to do with Blutz waves from the light reflected off of the moon. This transformation does increase physical attributes, but not nearly enough for an ordinary man to overcome a martial arts master like Jackie Chun. Speaking of Jackie Chun, the next Earthling transformation is Max Power, the form where Roshi inflates his muscles with ki, greatly increasing his power output, usually before unleashing a massive ki attack without moving. Though the form has been shown to work in hand-to-hand combat as well. While aesthetically this form seems like a Super Saiyan form I'll be discussing later on, it's never stated or shown to have the drawbacks that that form has, and simply seems like a flat stat increase across the board, likely meaning the reason it isn't used constantly is because it costs too much stamina. While we're talking about changing size, we'll move on to the Namekian transformations, starting with the Great Namekian form. This form greatly increases the user's size and has only been demonstrated in canon by Piccolo and 7-3, an android that can copy abilities. The Daizenshuu explains by taking advantage of his racial abilities, he is capable of concentrating the nerves throughout his entire body, invigorating his body's cells. Now, the Dragon Ball Wiki says Daizenshuu 2 says it was only for the Demon Clan, but despite looking through Daizenshuu 2, I couldn't find the quote. That would have even explained its disappearance for many years, with Piccolo no longer being a demon, and the use of the form by the non-canon movie villain Lord Slug. However, with all Namekians being from the Demon Realm according to Dragon Ball Daima, even if it was exclusively for demons, that'd still be all Namekians as of now. Notably, this form is a bluff transformation, as it doesn't notably increase the attack power or speed of the person using it, but it doesn't hinder speed, and it seems to at least slightly increase strength, as shown in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, just not enough to fully turn the tide of a losing fight. Super Namekian, unfortunately, isn't a transformation, and is simply a Namekian with extraordinary potential and power, kind of like an elite Saiyan, but Potential Unleashed is a Namekian form as well. This form does share a name with a different transformation on this list, but for the sake of clarity, I'll split them up. The Namekian version of Potential Unleashed smooths the lines on the Namekian's arms and adds a yellow tint to their skin color. This form is brought about by the Namekian in question having their potential drawn out in a similar way to how Elder Guru could on Namek. However, we have to assume for now that the transformation is either exclusive to adult, warrior, or super Namekians, as Dende had his potential unleashed but gained no transformation from it. This form does increase the user's power several fold, though in its one appearance it wasn't enough to overcome the power of Gamma 2. The next Namekian transformation is of course Orange Piccolo. Yes, Piccolo is part of the name. This form as of now is exclusive to Piccolo and is an evolution of his potential unleashed form. This form increases Piccolo's size significantly, lifts his antennas upwards, and changes his skin color to orange with red accents, seemingly to match the Dragon Balls that the power was granted by. Orange Piccolo also has the symbol of an Ajisa tree, the trees Namekians grow, manifest on his back. This form is an additional power that was granted by Shenron, who was once the creation of Piccolo's other half, Kami, who now resides within Piccolo. This additional power seems to have been given to Piccolo out of respect for his creator and former master. Some argue, including myself, that Shenron is simply returning stored power from Kami back to Piccolo, though this isn't confirmed anywhere. The form is powerful enough to beat a Gamma with ease, showing it's a notable increase over Potential Unleashed. This form also put on a decent fight against Cell Max, while still clearly being weaker than him. Notably, Orange Piccolo shows us that the Great Namekian form can be stacked on top of other transformations, as Piccolo uses it while in his orange form. This is a good time to talk about the other Potential Unleashed form that's now officially called Ultimate in canon. With Mystic Gohan, I'm sure some people will miss you. And this will also start the Saiyan Human Hybrid section of this video. The Ultimate form is, as of the time of this video, exclusive to Gohan, and was brought about by Elder Kai unlocking unlocking Gohan's inner potential via a ritual that took over 1 full Earth day to complete. Interestingly, this is the longest potential unlock in the series, with Elder Guru and Shenron's being nearly instant, and Master Karin's Ultra Divine Water taking 6 hours in the Piccolo Daimao arc, not to be confused with the Placebo Sacred Water from the Red Ribbon Army arc. The ultimate form makes Gohan's hair stand straight up, while changing his eyes from the Goku shape he usually has to the Super Saiyan eye shape. While this form is clearly stronger than Super Saiyan 2, it is hard to be sure how powerful it truly is, as Gohan's base form does get stronger just from training with the Z-Sword. What's more interesting is this form was only truly made a form in Dragon Ball Super. The original manga made it pretty ambiguous, with Elder Kai both talking about it being activated while also saying transforming isn't everything. Dragon Ball GT has it as Gohan's base form, and he can even stack Super Saiyan on top of it, while Dragon Ball Super clearly shows it as a separate form above Super Saiyan 1 and 2. As an extension of the ultimate form, we have Beast Gohan. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, this form is explicitly described as neither divine or Super Saiyan, and something specific to Gohan. The Beast form gives Gohan extremely tall silver hair, red eyes with visible pupils, and unique eyebrow shapes of all things. This form does appear to be a direct evolution of the ultimate form, and it clearly gives Gohan immense power, putting his power alongside that of Goku and Vegeta's, who we'll talk about a bit more later on. Something interesting is in a spar with Goku, Gohan implies he can only bring out the Beast form's power so far before he snaps and loses control, but there really isn't much more information about the form as of now. And unfortunately, there isn't much info on the next form, Super Saiyan Rage. This form is both Future Trunks and anime exclusive. It resembles Super Saiyan 2, but has a double aura that almost looks like a smaller version of Super Saiyan Blue's aura within a normal Super Saiyan 2's aura. And outside of it being stronger than Super Saiyan 2, we know next to nothing else about it. You can make an inference that Trunks was beginning to think about the form during his spar with Vegeta, as he specifically comments about how Vegeta wraps himself in blue energy, which Super Saiyan Rage does as well. We could also see that Trunks briefly transforms into what appears to be Super Saiyan Grade 3, a form we'll discuss later in this video, before fully transforming into Super Saiyan Rage in episode 63. So perhaps this is an evolution of that line of Super Saiyan, but again, this is all speculative. Luckily, Pure Saiyan transformations are explored much more deeply, starting with Super Saiyan. This is the Saiyan form of legend that was originally achieved by the Saiyan Yamoshi in his rebellion against the evil ways of the ancient Saiyans. But now the form is known by basically every Saiyan with remote plot relevance. Super Saiyan gives the Saiyan a 50 times multiplier to their power level, but generally at the cost of losing some amount of self-control. This particular version of the form is often referred to as Super Saiyan Grade 1. It causes the user's hair to stand up straight, turning it a yellow color of some kind depending on the era it was drawn, changing the eye color to blue or green depending on the era it was drawn, and originally increased muscle mass, but this effect was diminished over time. This form was later evolved into Super Saiyan Grade 2. Super Saiyan Grade 2 was seen used by Vegeta, Trunks, and even Goku briefly. This transformation is just a powered up version of Super Saiyan. Aesthetically, the form causes the Super Saiyan hair to become even spikier, and notably increases muscle mass for more power gains. It doesn't seem to diminish speed by a noticeable amount, but is seemingly susceptible to stamina issues and instability just like Super Saiyan Grade 1. Though it isn't nearly as bad as Super Saiyan Grade 3, which was only ever used by Future Trunks, Caulifla, and Goku once before abandoning it. This form even furthers the issues of Super Saiyan Grade 2, but with even more muscle mass, causing a severe loss of speed in exchange for pure power output. Notably, in the manga, Trunks does not land a single hit on Perfect Cell, illustrating the failures of the transformation extremely well. I'm still not sure why the anime had them clash a bunch. Ultimately, all the previous Super Saiyan grades exist to show that the true path to surpassing the Super Saiyan wall lies in mastering Super Saiyan Grade 1, a form we call Super Saiyan Grade 4. This form allows the user to exist in Super Saiyan as if it was their base form, with even their eye shape changing from the serious Grade 1 eyes to a more base form-like shape. I understand it is contentious to consider this a separate transformation, but I wanted to include it to go over some differences from Super Saiyan Grade 1. The first is the multiplier. Does grade 4 have a bigger multiplier than even grade 1? It's possible it does if we go by base Vegeta and base Kaba being equals in the Universe 6 tournament, but Super Saiyan Vegeta being stronger than Super Saiyan Kaba. Though this could actually be because of grade 1's worse stamina, leading to Kaba getting weaker as he uses Super Saiyan, and they may not have been as equal in base as Vegeta thought. Whether you believe it is or isn't greater than 50 times though, I don't blame you. I've gone back and forth on this over the years myself. Then we have Super Saiyan 2, or as it was originally known, Super Saiyan Grade 5. Weird to think about, but the form wasn't actually named until the Buu Saga by Goku.
I know that.
This form has been used by Gohan, Goku, Vegeta, Future Trunks, Kaba, Caulifla, and Kale. Kind of, but I'll explain that later. This form is 2 times the power of Super Saiyan Grade 4 according to the Super Exciting Guide. As for its appearance, Super Saiyan 2 makes the user's hair stand up even more and adds lightning to their aura. Notably, Super Saiyan 2 is never stated to have any drawbacks and is simply treated as the form that fully surpasses the Super Saiyan wall in every single way. Which can't be said for our next form, Super Saiyan 3. This form was never perfected due to it being found by Goku in the afterlife, where its drawbacks were not as prevalent, though it still had some drawbacks as both Goku and King Kai were aware of them before he used the form to stall Majin Buu, and the fact it was surpassed before it could be made the star player of a story arc. This form is used by Goku, Gotenks, and Vegeta as of Dragon Ball Daima, and this is 4 times the power of Super Saiyan 2 according to the Super Exciting Guide. Its drawbacks are its stamina and energy drain.
They really
So pronounced, it can
3.
reduce the single day a person can be brought back to life and can extinguish a fusion early. Aesthetically, the transformation causes extreme hair growth, though the shape is slightly different depending on the user, just like Super Saiyan. This was, up until recently, the end of the Super Saiyan line of transformations, but Daima has changed that with its version of Super Saiyan 4. Don't worry, I'll talk about the other Super Saiyan 4 later. Daima Super Saiyan 4 is a direct evolution of the Super Saiyan transformations, with it being something Goku trained to achieve after his battle with Buu, but he was unable to ever fully tap into it. Think of it like Goku and Vegeta knowing there was something beyond the Super Saiyan wall in the Cell Saga without having actual access to it. With the help of Neva, that power was fully awakened within him and was further shown to be an evolution of the Super Saiyan forms when Goku is forcibly powered down out of the form and when he powers up into it. Aesthetically, this form makes the Saiyan far more ape-like, increasing the length of the arms, covering the upper body with red fur, and even regrowing the tail if the Saiyan using it doesn't already have one. The Saiyan's hair grows larger and turns red as well, along with the eyes, which also have visible pupils. Speaking of ape-like, let's move on to the Ozaru form. When any Saiyan with a tail absorbs the light of the full moon, or something replicating the 17 million Xeno units of Blutz waves that the full moon reflects through their eyes, they transform into a giant monkey, increasing their power level by 10 times. However, the transformation will immediately reverse if the moon is destroyed or the Saiyan's tail is removed. Despite the growth in body mass, the form does not seem to reduce speed and likely even increases it, though it makes movements more lumbering and imprecise. An additional drawback is whether or not the form can be controlled by the Saiyan using it, potentially leading to a rampage when transforming and additional casualties. This form is the basis for other forms as well, like Broly's Ikari form, aka Wrathful. Ikari is when a Saiyan with no tail is able to access the power of the Ozaru without having the lumbering movements of the larger body. This allows for better technique when fighting as opposed to just a stat boost. It also lacks the weaknesses of the Ozaru form, that being the tail and needing a moon. While there's no official multiplier for the transformation, we are pretty safe to assume that it's also a 10 times boost. Aesthetically, the Wrathful form makes the user's hair stand up in a Super Saiyan-like shape and turns the user's eyes yellow with visible pupils, as well as noticeably increasing their muscle mass and height. But he has more unique transformations than just that, and the first is Broly's Super Saiyan form, which does have yellow hair in both the movie and manga like a normal Super Saiyan, but also makes Broly much larger than his base form while missing the pupils and irises that are traditionally found on the Super Saiyan forms. The next is Full Power Super Saiyan, where Broly fully loses control, grows even larger, and has green hair. Notably, this form was designed by the movie's character designer, Naohiro Shintani, for the movie, and wasn't part of Toriyama's script or designs for the film, which is why this form isn't found in the manga. The final form is Broly's controlled Super Saiyan form. This form doesn't have a name yet, but is unique as confirmed in the Dragon Ball Super manga by Gohan, and is even shown to be its own transformation by the volume cover for volume 24, officially giving it green hair.
That's clean.
We actually don't know much more about these forms, but seeing how Broly transforms into a Super Saiyan on top of the wrathful form in the Broly movie, many speculate, including myself, that they work similar.
But I've been trying to buy chapter 25 Dragon Ball Super manga, the last manga he worked on, I believe. And that's the one that's like my favorite one too so far too. That's the Gohan Goku fight, Broly, like that's
to other stack transformations, which should mean at least a 500 times increase in power when combining multipliers, but likely it's much more. Speaking of stack transformations, we have the Golden Ozaru form. This is what happens when a Super Saiyan transforms into the Ozaru form or vice versa. Just like I said for Broly's Super Saiyan form, this is at least 500 times the power of the Saiyan's base form. In the Dragon Ball Z anime, this form is used to visually represent the original Super Saiyan of Legend, which is anime filler, but it's retroactively used as foreshadowing for the next transformation, GT's version of Super Saiyan 4. Funny enough, GT's version of Super Saiyan 4 actually has no connection to the Super Saiyan forms at all, with it being stated that a Saiyan at a certain level of power who is in control of their Ozaru form, not Golden Ozaru, can turn into a Super Saiyan 4. Some people mistakenly think this form is 10 times the power of Super Saiyan 3, but the 10 times Kamehameha is just for that attack rather than the form's multiplier. We simply don't know the multiplier for sure. Also, full power Super Saiyan 4 isn't so much its own form as it is Goku getting a power up by collecting other power from other Saiyans. Visually, GT Super Saiyan 4 is similar to Daima's, with more normally proportioned arms, black hair instead of red, clothes that magically appear and disappear back into base form clothing, as well as the weird trait of turning the user into an adult if they're a child. Next, we have a different branch entirely, with the Super Saiyan God forms. Despite their names and one confusing scene in the Moro arc, they are a separate branch of Saiyan transformation, which starts with Super Saiyan God. Now, Super Saiyan God is a complicated transformation. That's why I have an entire video about it. I personally distinguish Ritual Super Saiyan God from the form that we see Goku and Vegeta use at will now. But that's mainly due to how, after using the ritual, the power of the Super Saiyan God becomes base power for Goku, which obviously isn't happening every time he uses the form after the ritual. Regardless, Super Saiyan God is a power above that of at least Buu Saga Vegito, though Goku is likely thinking of a stronger Vegito due to Battle of Gods being 4 years after the Buu Saga. So this is a very high multiplier. I even have a short going over the absolute minimum multiplier for the form. This form slims down the Saiyan's body, making their appearance more like that of the gods that we meet in Dragon Ball Super, and gives them red hair, red eyes with pupils, and a fiery aura. Notably, the hair shape doesn't change, and this is because the form is what I call a base transformation, meaning that in the same way transformations can stack on top of the Ozaru form, transformations can stack on top of Super Saiyan God. Starting with Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which is a mouthful, so everyone calls it its better official name, Super Saiyan Blue. And this form is very easy to understand. This is a Super Saiyan God that turns Super Saiyan. Back when the Resurrection F movie came out, there was an implication that Super Saiyan God was gone forever, and that Goku and Vegeta could use God Ki and Base to create Super Saiyan Blue. But this has long since been changed, with Super Saiyan Blue directly being a Super Saiyan God turning Super Saiyan. While no official multiplier exists, I think it's pretty safe to say it's 50 times Super Saiyan God given the context. Now we have a variant of Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan Rose, a form that has confused a lot of people. You see, in the manga, Goku Black can turn off his God Ki at will, allowing him to use regular Super Saiyan forms, and Rose as his equivalent of Super Saiyan Blue. In the anime, however, official material calls Rose his variant of regular Super Saiyan. This has caused a lot of avoidable confusion due to the wording. However, it's clear that Goku Black is using God Ki in the Dragon Ball Super anime, and as we know from me explaining Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan plus God Ki is what Super Saiyan Blue really is. In terms of visuals, Rose has a different color entirely due to Goku Black's God Ki being that of a true god, or at least least a Kai. In the anime, it seems to be a slender transformation, though the manga has Goku Black's physique better reflect that of Goku. Then we have perfected Super Saiyan Blue, which, like Super Saiyan Grade 4,
Clean.
might not really be
I
its
like
own
the
unique
manga
form,
better,
but
brother.
I think it's worth discussing. At the cost of lowering the amount of time that a user can stay in Super Saiyan Blue, perfected Super Saiyan Blue makes it so that shorter overall time is 100% power for the entire duration. This is done by the strenuous task of keeping all of the body's leaking ki inside the body, which removes the user's aura. In essence, this form is using the principles of God Ki to extract the maximum power from Super Saiyan Blue. The next form in this branch is Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, which does exist in both the anime and manga, but is really simple. It's just a stronger version of Super Saiyan Blue that only Vegeta has. It does change the aura shape and Vegeta's hair color, as well as bulking Vegeta up in the anime, clearly paralleling Super Saiyan Grade 2, but it's a really simple form with not much to say about it. Now let's move over to the Universe 6 Saiyan forms with Kale's transformations. You're probably thinking she should have the same forms as Broly, and you're right, that would make sense. Anyway, here are Kale's exclusive transformations. In the Dragon Ball Super anime, Kale's buff, green-haired form is called Super Saiyan Berserk. It's just another ripoff of DBZ Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form. But notably, Kale can use her own mutated versions of Super Saiyan 1 and 2, both of which are seemingly just stronger versions of their normal counterparts that make her physically larger. I hate the official naming for these forms, but as of right now, we have nothing else to use. Her version of Super Saiyan 1 is weaker than Berserker, but her Super Saiyan 2 is seemingly stronger, or at least as strong, with the added benefit of retaining her control. More interestingly, in the Dragon Ball Super manga, Kale has a legendary Saiyan form. Interestingly, while the Super Saiyan legend is one that was misconstrued by evil Saiyans that won against Yamoshi to paint him as battle-lusted and violent in Universe 7, the legendary Saiyan of Universe 6 was actually a battle maniac, fighting and expending their energy until they can no longer fight and inevitably die. As the reflection of the evil Universe 7 Saiyans, I like that this is also opposite for both. This manga exclusive form makes Kale grow in size and her hair stand straight up with eyes that have no irises or pupils. Let's move away from the Saiyans for a bit and discuss Zarbon's monster form, one of the earliest examples of a character transforming at will for power growth in Dragon Ball Z. Interestingly, in the Moro arc of the Dragon Ball Super manga, Vegeta faces what seems to be another member of Zarbon's race named Yuzun. Zarbon and Yuzun both possess the ability to transform into a monster form. In Zarbon's case at least, this form is actually a pretty small power increase overall. In his base form, Zarbon is at a power level between 18,001 and 23,999 due to him being stronger than Vegeta pre-Namek arrival, but weaker than Vegeta at a power level of 24,000. Zarbon then uses his monster form to overwhelm Vegeta, but after another Zenkai boost, Vegeta wins. We don't know exactly how strong Vegeta was after that Zenkai, but depending on the translation, his power level is around 30,000, putting Zarbon's monster form at a pitiful less than 2 times boost, making it one of the smallest transformation power boosts in the entire series. Next, we have the Heater's race from the Dragon Ball Super manga, whose main transformation is their unleashed instincts, which in exchange for power completely overwhelms their ability to reason and is partially held back by the amulet the Heaters wear. However, as shown by Gas, if the Heater unleashing their instincts grow strong enough in their base form, they can either partially or fully control their instincts, creating an awakened form. Though this form's power output does depend on how much the user can control, it does allow them to use their power in more effective ways. The regular Unleashed Instincts form causes the user to grow horns out of their head, bulks them up tremendously, and causes them to lose their pupils and irises, while the awakened form has the user retain a physique more fit for fighting, though the horns still remain to show that they've transformed. Also, for the sake of being comprehensive, Ganos in the Tournament of Power can transform into a much larger and bird-like form for an overall stat increase. Officially, this form has only ever been called his true form. Chief Moganayan transforms in episode 2 of Dragon Ball Super into a battle mode, which changes his skin color from yellow to red and makes his body grow larger overall, with things like his horns and fangs becoming far more prominent. There's also the anime's version of Universe 2, who have the ability to convert love into power and by extension, magical girl transformations. While initially these forms seem to be unique to the individual, their later reappearance in the Tournament of Power on other characters shows that there's just 3 variants that we know of. With those out of the way, here's a big one. Frieza's
Frieza,
race.
yeah.
We don't know the name of Frieza's race, and no, it's not Frost demons. In terms of things I'm covering, only Frost and Frieza have been shown to transform, and without proof, we can't assume
don't know about
that King
Cole.
Cold is hiding transformations. It'd be like assuming King Vegeta
Cole's
was
a
hiding
movie-
the
a
ability
movie
to
guy.
turn Super Saiyan because his son Vegeta can. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, Frieza initially only has 3 transformations, while Frost has 2. The first form is a small and unassuming transformation that's used as the form they casually exist in. For Frieza, this form initially had a power level of 530,000, though the form did get stronger by the time of Frieza's arrival on Earth in Resurrection F. Then there's his second form, which looks a lot like King Cold, and based on Frost not having this form, might have been directly inspired by his father's appearance, as we know Frieza can control what his forms look like to some extent. Though it's never been properly measured, this form on Namek has a power level over 1 million. Then there's the short-lived third form, which has a monstrous appearance and an even larger power level, but it's unknown how big that power level actually is. You may be wondering about Frieza's fourth form, but that's actually just his base form. As Frieza says himself, his transformations are a way for him to suppress his power because it becomes hard for him to actually control it. And you can't make forms to suppress something that doesn't exist.
What?
He even goes out of his way to call it his true form, which doesn't always mean base form, but in this context it does. And it's actually the reason he wants to increase his height in that form with the Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball Super Broly. Both Frost and Frieza can use a bulky, full power style form, though Frieza presents this as him using 100% of his true power in the original manga,
That's
rather
true.
than an entirely new transformation. So unlike the other bulky power-ups, I won't count it here. But if you wanted to add it on, just add 1 to the count. Then we have Frieza's forms that are actually power-ups instead of suppression forms, starting with the Golden
Golden
form. This transformation was achieved after 4 months of training and gives Frieza godly levels of power. It's stupid, but it is what it is. The weakness with this transformation, at least initially, is its poor stamina, since Frieza went straight to Earth after obtaining it. In the anime, this issue is directly addressed and fixed before the Tournament of Power, but in the Dragon Ball Super manga, they skipped Resurrection F, so this plot point is skipped over entirely as far as I know.
Pass
If the
that
name didn't
bitch.
give it away, this form makes Frieza golden, and due to him making it that color on purpose,
No
I like
problem.
to think
I gotta
that he
parlay
did
in.
it to mock Super Saiyan, though this is never directly confirmed. Then we have a pretty much unknown form, Black Frieza. After 10 years of training in a room of spirit and time he found on a world he conquered, Frieza gets this new transformation. How strong is it? Stronger than the strongest mortals in Universe 7. Other than that, all we know is its color is predominantly black with chrome accents. Let's continue the villain transformations with Cell. Larva and Imperfect Cell are just different ages of his base form, so we'll start with Semi-Perfect Cell. After absorbing Android 17, Cell grows larger and becomes more humanoid in appearance. Something interesting to think about that isn't made clear is if this form would be different had Cell absorbed Android 18 first. Then we have Perfect Cell, who of course comes about when Semi-Perfect Cell absorbs Android 18. This is Cell's complete form, and though it's still tall when compared to the main cast, it is shorter than his other forms. But despite the size, this form has an insane power increase, taking Cell from weaker than Super Vegeta to Vegeta being no match for him at all. Then include the fact that half-power Super Saiyan Grade 4 Goku is stronger than Super Vegeta, but even at full power, he wasn't stronger than Super Saiyan Grade 4 Gohan, who still wasn't enough to beat Cell. Cell even hid his full power until Gohan got Super Saiyan 2. This should give you a glimpse of just how big of a jump this form was in terms of power. Perfect Cell also showed the ability to use a form like Super Saiyan Grade 3, increasing his muscle mass and power output at the sake of speed. Just go back to the Super Saiyan Grade 3 section of this video if you want more information. As an honorable mention, I'll include Super Perfect Cell, since he's not necessarily his own form, but it could be interpreted that way. Super Perfect Cell comes from a Zenkai boost, but Cell himself says he powered up like Gohan, and with lightning in his aura now, his base 2/5 Saiyan DNA allowed him to obtain Super Saiyan 2, with many assuming Cell was already a Super Saiyan before this point. If we go for the Super Saiyan 2 interpretation, then we have Super Perfect Cell at 2 times Perfect Cell. But again, this isn't confirmed anywhere. Now we have the final Z villain, Buu. I think most of you know Kid Buu is actually Buu's base form, so we'll be focusing on his other transformations. Starting with Majin Buu. This is what Buu became after he absorbed the South Supreme Kai and the Grand Supreme Kai, with the Grand Supreme Kai being the dominant absorption. This physically made Buu more rotund and overall a more innocent, kinder being, though that innocence could easily be manipulated. After getting enraged, Majin Buu splits into Evil Buu and Good Buu, with Good Buu being just the kinder and somewhat weaker version of Majin Buu, and Evil Buu being the evil nature of Buu manifested. Think of it like the nameless Namekian splitting into Kami and Piccolo. Evil Buu was gray, unlike every other Buu form we'll talk about, pretty skinny, and unfortunately, stronger than Good Buu. So because of that, he absorbed Good Buu by turning him into chocolate and eating him, which is actually the only time that Buu absorbs someone by eating them. This created a form we call Super Buu, with Evil Buu as the dominant personality in Buu and a body perfectly suited for fighting. Piccolo himself even says that Super Buu is stronger than Majin Buu in every way, and it takes him from being weaker than Super Saiyan 3 Goku to stronger than him by at least a decent margin. Now, Super Buu goes on to absorb a lot of people and slightly changes his form because of it. There's Buu with Gotenks and Piccolo absorbed, aka Buu-Tanks. Buu with Piccolo, Goten, and Trunks absorbed, aka Buu-Iccolo. And finally, Buu with Gohan, Piccolo, Goten, and Trunks absorbed, aka Buu-Han. Piccolo does give Buu more strategical intelligence, but since he's in all these forms, the only difference between them is their power. Also, Buu's clothes and appearance changed to better reflect who the primary absorption currently is, which is pretty cool, though he can remove the clothing at will. The final Buu form is Buff Buu, which is just a more muscular form that Buu obtained when he absorbed the South Supreme Kai. Let's jump back to Saiyans for a bit with Baby Vegeta and Saiyan Safurian forms, aka Saiyan Tuffle forms. Baby's Golden Ozaru feels pretty self-explanatory and isn't strictly unique, though the form does have Baby's aesthetic changes and is somewhat incompatible with Baby as he cannot reverse the size change on his original body. The forms I really want to talk about though are Strongest Form 1 and Strongest Form 2, with the former being akin to Super Saiyan 2 and the latter being like Super Saiyan 3. Aside from the aesthetic similarities, the GT Perfect files directly call Strongest Form 2 a similar form to Super Saiyan 3, and since Baby Vegeta starts as a Super Saiyan, going 2 forms beyond that would be Super Saiyan 3. Both of these forms have some amount of aesthetic changes due to the Safurian influence, like the white hair color, armor that grows out of the user's body, and the fully blue eyes. These forms also seem to be at least somewhat stronger than their pure Saiyan counterparts. Sticking with GT, we have Rild, aka Rildo, but I really don't like calling him that. His first form is his Hyper Meta form, which is achieved after merging with the remains of the Sigma Force, gaining a lot of armor and even a drill hand, as well as giving him the power to put up a decent fight against Super Saiyan Goku. His second form is called Metal Rild, and aside from him being naked now, this form allows him to fully control any and all metal around him, including the entire Machine Mutant planet. Then we have the Shadow Dragons, starting with Chi Shenron, aka Naturon Shenron, who, much like Buu, changes forms based on who or what he absorbs, with the first form being a mole form, allowing him to create earthquakes, followed by his super form, which he gets from absorbing Pan, gaining power, and even some new techniques. Ryu Shenron, aka Oceanus Shenron, has a humanoid form called Princess Oto, which is used to trick humans, but really there's not much more to say about it than that. Finally, I Shenron, aka Sin Shenron, can transform into Omega Shenron, or Super I Shenron, after absorbing all 7 Dragon Balls, granting him power beyond even Super Saiyan 4, though it is below a Super Saiyan 4 fusion. His design also changes a little bit as well, mostly just extending things like the spikes on his body. For a different Dragon Ball Z sequel villain, we have Moro from the Dragon Ball Super manga. His youthful, nourished state isn't really a form, but his absorptions definitely count. The first is Moro 7-3. By consuming the android 7-3, Moro changed drastically in appearance, becoming more humanoid, losing most of his goat-like features aside from his horns and some fur. He also gained all of 7-3's temporarily copied abilities permanently, as well as the ability to copy new abilities himself. He later uses this copying ability to copy Meris's angel powers, further transforming into what's often called Angel Moro. Moro physically changes by giving him a white color across his fur and body, as well as access to Ultra Instinct. However, the power of an angel was too much for him to handle, causing causing him to further transform again into Planet Moreau by merging with the Earth to better handle the angel power with a planet as his body, though he does seem to sacrifice the dodging ability of Ultra Instinct. Speaking of Ultra Instinct, we have the godly technique forms. These appear to be somewhat saying exclusive, with one anime-only exception. First, we have the iconic Ultra Instinct sign and Ultra Instinct, or as some call it, Mastered Ultra Instinct or even Perfected Ultra Instinct. These transformations gave Goku a body capable of putting Whis' training into action by making him strong enough to handle and use Ultra Instinct. While the silver-haired form is more powerful, in the Granola arc, Goku discovered he can more freely use his emotions in Ultra Instinct sign, which makes that form more useful in certain situations. To be clear, true Ultra Instinct isn't really its own form, as Ultra Instinct sign is the actual form being used. I've called true Ultra Instinct a fan term before, to which some people pointed to V-Jump to say I'm wrong and it's official. But if we look at the official article about that V-Jump summary, true isn't capitalized because it isn't a new form or even part of the transformation's name. Just as the story said, Ultra Instinct sign is Goku's true Ultra Instinct because it works best for him naturally without having to calm his heart. This form is still weaker than the silver-haired form though, as shown in the fight with Gas and later Goku's fight with Beast Gohan. The only reason to use Ultra Instinct sign is when Goku is physically incapable of drawing the silver-haired form out to its full capability because his emotions are too on edge. Toyotaro himself even said there's only two forms of Ultra Instinct, the silver hair and the black hair. As Goku becomes more capable of using the full extent of Ultra Instinct in any form, these transformations will simply be last resort power-ups rather than essential for accessing this technique of the gods. On the other side of things, we have the Destruction form, starting with God of Destruction Topo. This form makes Topo far larger and more muscular. His skin color darkens, his eyes become purple, and a symbol resembling that found on the uniforms of the Gods of Destruction manifests on his torso. This is a form that uses destruction energy to power Topo up and gives him the ability to spam Hakai, aka Destruction. While Topo's form is a basic power-up, Vegeta's Ultra Ego isn't. This form turns Vegeta's hair purple, removes his eyebrows, and gives him pinkish purple eyes with visible pupils. Ultra Ego is unique because it's fueled by Vegeta's battle spirit, and the more fired up he is by the battle he's engaged in, the stronger he gets. While sometimes damage can further ignite his battle spirit and increase the power of the form, it does come at the risk of taking too much damage, putting Vegeta out of commission before he can fully use the power he's gained. And with that, I've covered 72 transformations from the main manga and anime series. Please consider subscribing because this took a lot of effort. Thanks.
I like the video, big dog. Good shit. Oh man, he went through all transformations. I was expecting to go through everything. God damn. Okay, all right. He went through everything from Dragon Ball Z, GT, Super, Daima. He went through all of them. Okay. Shout out to Carthu Dojo. I definitely got some extra information on some transformations that I didn't know. And something I already knew a bunch of it. But make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and check out the last one. Check out another video like right here, and I'll catch y'all next time.